My name is Nora Abudan. I'm 25 years old and I graduated from the University of Utah with a major in economics and a minor in Spanish. And currently I'm working for Goldman Sachs in their consumer and commercial banking division, and I am one of the co-founders of Emerald Project. So I'm actually really excited about the panel we have tonight. It's going to be a really diverse group of people, and the main subject is going to be the separation of Islam, politics, and religion. It's actually a series of questions. It's going to be broken down into different categories. So, for example, do you feel that culture and religion overlap? Do you feel like culture and religion are mistaken for one another? So it really goes into the different variations, and it just shows the complexities of Islam. And a lot of times people try to clump the politics and the culture within the religion, and oftentimes that's not the case.
My name is Faeiza Javed. I'm 26 years old. I was born and raised in Salt Lake City, Utah. I graduated from the University of Utah with my bachelor's and my master's degree in social work. I am currently the clinical director at South Valley Services, which is a domestic violence shelter in West Jordan. I also work with combat vets at a private practice. And the combat vets that I work with them specifically because some of their PTSD stems from Islamophobia. A lot of people don't understand the difference between Islam and culture. A lot of the misogyny, the women's rights issue, the oppression that people associate with Islam is actually not Islam. So, believe it or not, Islam gave women rights that weren't granted to women here in the U.S. until the 1920s. In Islam, it is obligated for a woman to pursue an education. She can't be forced to marry anyone. She has rights that sometimes are not fulfilled. And so we really want to talk about these differences. We also want to talk about the difference between the politics of Islam. The terrorism that's associated with Islam, again, is not part of the faith, but it's more so part of the political nature that is associated with the faith. And so really diving deep into these three very, very, very big topics and trying to separate them. There's a lot of misconception about the faith, about the followers of the faith, and we really want to try to remove those remove those stereotypes and help people, shift their perspective a little bit. We feel like the media has been sharing one narrative and one narrative only about Islam, and we really want to give people a different narrative, a more raw, authentic, personal narrative.
My name is Satin Tashnizi, and I am the executive director of the Emerald Project. I think a lot of the rhetoric we're hearing is quite divisive. There's people who almost fall into two categories, racists and victims, and I don't think that that is an accurate narrative of what is going on in our country right now. At the Emerald Project, we believe in having conversations because every single person who has an opinion is coming from someplace. They're acting on a set of human experiences, on information that they have received. And our role is not to change their opinions or have an agenda to spread some kind of message as much as it is to engage in a conversation so that we understand where the other is coming from. And in the process, addressing some of the misconceptions of Islam. A lot of times people see, if I say Muslim, you're going to think of a woman in hijab, or you're going to think of a terrorist. And Muslims are so much more than that, and so many of those misconceptions are rooted in information that is not necessarily true. I think ultimately, we're neighbors. We live in each other's communities. Our kids go to school with each other. We are colleagues. We bump into each other at grocery stores. We live here, we grow here. We're ultimately sharing a human experience that I think is meaningful. And I think having these conversations are beneficial because I want people to come here and I want them to go, wow, this is not what we grew up knowing about Muslims. This is not the image that we associated with Islam. I think for an individual to dispel those stereotypes of another person, it makes their experience in a community more enriching.